We are excited to showcase VM Ybor's history and celebrate the rich past through a series of interviews with longtime residents, stakeholders, and historians. You'll hear narratives that reflect the diversity and resilience of the VM Ybor's neighborhood dating back generations. We will delve deep into the heart of our community, shedding light on the contributions and unique moments that have shaped our neighborhood's identity. The project is more than just a reflection of the past, it's a commitment to the future. By capturing recollections and spoken history, we're ensuring that our past is preserved and accessible to future generations, creating a sense of pride in our shared experiences. Our goal is to formulate a catalyst for long-term engagement and education, with the flexibility to add new interviews and topics over time, ensuring that our community's history continues to be celebrated and cherished as our neighborhood evolves. So join us as we embark on this creative and innovative journey of historic storytelling. Together, let's uncover the past, celebrate the present, and look forward to an exciting future in VM Ybor.
My mother was born here in Tampa. My father was born in Spain. My grandmother, great-grandmother, they all came from Italy. Settled on 11th Avenue, bought a house there. And a few years later, they came in Ybor. This was all orange groves back then. Everything was orange groves. I didn't never see the orange groves, but I heard about all the groves. They built this house first. The Wheelie's house was the first house on the block. And I don't know who the second one was, if this was the second one but it looks like they all were built around the same time. One across the street. This one next door was built a year later.
Hi, my name's Kathy Myers. I grew up all my life in Ybor City. I went to all the neighborhood schools, Orange Grove Elementary, I used to walk to, VM for a minute. My grandmother's house originally is where HCC Ybor is located now. And they relocated her, bought her out, and moved her at 2811 16th Street, which is 2 blocks from the cigar factory. And Ybor was full of life. As a child, we went to Cascadian Park, the Cascadian Pool. We was used to walk to Ybor City to Crest. There was a Crest there, Biff Burger, a lot of Hispanic eateries and shops. And it was just a wonderful place to be in. Multicultural, we had everyone, all cultures, Hispanics, Italians. I mean, it was just very, very nice, loving environment to live in.
Okay, well, my name is Liz Smith. I was born Elizabeth Corrales. I've spent my whole life in Ybor City. I was born in Centro Suriano on 21st. I have many people who died there in my family. We all went there. My job when I was a kid was to give the guy who came from the Sociedad the little certificate and the money to pay for our insurance, and which was great because everything was covered. And that was my job. If you all are familiar with the area of 21st Street, now there's a vegan restaurant there and store, which was very funny to me because that's where we used to buy all our meat. And that was the corner store for us. And when I was 5 years old, my job was to go buy stuff from the 2 ladies. They were 2 sisters, very gossipy, and they always gave you the evil eye. But we bought everything there. And now to see it as a vegan, very trendy, I guess, restaurant it tickles me.
Hi, my name is Josie Nupti, but I grew up being known as Josie Gonzalez, but my real name is Josephine, but nobody calls me that. I grew up here on 17th Avenue, 1013 17th Avenue. I was born down the street at the Centro Turiano Hospital on 21st, down there. And I lived all my life until I got married in 1978 here on 17th Avenue. I rode bicycles all over this area, learned how to swim at Cascada Park, went to the recreation department there when I was growing up, and just a lot of friends here in this area. Unlike Georgie, who knows everybody around here, many of the people I never knew of, but I have many, many long-lasting friends from this area. I left in 1978 and I came back to my grandmother's house in 2013, and I've been living there ever since. I've seen a lot of changes in the neighborhood, some very good. We have nice houses, nice neighbors who are very, very active in keeping the spirit of the community alive here.
My name is Terry Lynn Soriano Muñiz. I grew up here in Ybor City. My family came over from Italy back in the 1800s, and they set up their household here on 11th Avenue, which is now where you would find the Latin Quarter apartments or condos, okay? My aunt actually worked at the box factory, which is now known as the Lofts, Box Factory Lofts. She was an inspector there for many years. That's where they would make all the cigar boxes, put the labels on them. They would have to go through, manually through bring them down, let's check them out. And she would inspect them. Okay, so I was fortunate enough to get some boxes when she brought them home. My parents, when they met here in Ybor City, actually. My mom went to the junior high, and at that time they had Jefferson, which was actually on Waters Street over there. And when they were newlyweds, they moved to Columbus Drive, and they stayed there until they bought their home on 15th Avenue. On 15th Avenue, they raised 2 sons and a daughter. And growing up on 15th Avenue, I had a grandmother who lived right across the street, okay, at the house. And that was very convenient because a lot of people didn't have phones. We had party lines, which was very interesting. Every time you wanted to pick up the phone and make a phone call, you had to make sure that person got off the phone. Today, I actually still live in Ybor City. I live on 18th Avenue with my husband, who actually was born in the home that we live in, okay? And this year, our home will be 100 years old next year.
Hi, I'm Sharon Baker, and I live here, and I've been here since 1970. I came from White Plains, New York. I live on the corner of 17th and 13th in one of the historical houses, being that of Charlie Wall. So I've been here since 1970. And I love being here. My neighborhood, when I came, it was mostly Spanish. And I wish I had a major or took Spanish in school because it would have benefited me tremendously. I remember the streets, they were all brick. They still had horses back then coming down the streets. I remember the guy on a bicycle, and he had a square box, and he used to sell out devil crabs, 25 cents a feast. And they were the best devil crabs I ever ate. You couldn't get any better. And that was really a good memory. And I went to all the schools here, high school. Ybor City has really grown since I've been here. A lot of new shops. Old shops were either torn down or burnt down. But all in all, Ybor City and my area is a nice area. It's really growing. It's a lot of people coming in this area, but it's worth it. So.
My name is Frank Tintera, and I lived at 1711 Columbus Drive, which is about a half a block from here. And I moved there in about 1940, and I finally left here about 58 or 60, in that time. But I spent most of my childhood here. It was fun. It was a good place to live. One of our first jobs ever, probably was 13, 14, was right here in this same spot. There was a pharmacy here, and That was my first job. I delivered the medicines to people that they used to call up, and I delivered them on my bicycle.
Hello, my name's Frank Muniz. My wife Terry Lynn. We grew up in Ybor City. I grew up on 1812 18th Avenue. I was born in the house, delivered by the two midwives that lived across the street from us. And I used to play ball right down Cascade Park, right down the road, and the Reagan's down on Lake and Republic of Cuba. In elementary school, I went to OLPH, and there was no air conditioning back then, so we had all the windows open. In the morning, you smell the Cuban coffee brewing in Ybor City. You can smell the beans. You can smell it. At our house. We got the Cuban bakeries, La Segunda Central. My brother worked there for about 10, 15 years, 20 years.
Hi, I'm Maria Linsky, and I lived now in South Tampa, but I lived on 13th Street, Ybor City, 13 in Columbus, more or less. So that's where I was raised since I came here from Cuba.
And what do you remember about the Centro story?
Actually, it was the Gonzalez Clinic that was in Ybor, and that's where I first had my tonsils taken out. And the Centro Ciudadano Hospital was on 21st Street, 21st Avenue. What I remember is basically hanging out with my aunt and uncle, or basically my uncle, Jose Sanchez. He was friends with Dr. Cardoso, Emilio Chavarria, another doctor, Dr. Cernuda, Dr. Tejedor, a whole bunch of Cuban and Spaniards doctors that basically worked there. And then where the ambulance would come in was actually like a little hangout, because we would ride our bikes in there, and that was kind of like the back way for the people to come out and smoke, the doctors, the nurses. And my aunt would cross the street. She lived on Home Street, and take them coffee, Cuban coffee. She'd make them Cuban coffee in the morning and late at night.
One of the best things that ever happened around here, every Halloween, Cascade Park, they had a big festival. It was, there's 3 schools, grammar schools in this area, Ybor, Oak Grove, and I can't remember the other one, but it's on the other side of 7th Avenue over there, or 6th Avenue. They used to put it together. It was a big, we had thousands of people going, believe it or not, on Halloween. But it was very festive, very fun. And the schools voted for a queen of the Halloween. So between the 3 schools, they selected one queen.
Most of the residents in this area, when they came to the state from Spain, they came from the region of Asturias. And they started to form a social club. First, it was a Centro Español, but some of the members wanted to have a hospital. So they broke away from the Centro Español, and they established the Centro Asturiano, which is now on Palm and Nebraska. And we had a hospital on 11th and 21st. And that was the highlight of all those things going socially. Now, you could talk about the dominoes.
She was talking about the Centro Asturiano. They used to have dances on the weekends, was it? And I remember seeing Harry James there, the trumpet player. Harry James, y'all know him? Harry James, and was it, who was the other one I saw there? Betty Goodman? Is there Betty Goodman? Yeah. Saw them at the Centro Asturiano at
In the ballroom.
Ballroom. Yeah, it was packed jam. People came from all over to see them. And
If you go to the Centro, they have photos of all the big bands who performed in the Centro. We had a lot of them, usually, of course, the 40s and the 50s. But when my father and my mother were growing up, they would have, what were they called, tea dances?
yeah,
At like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And the Centro Español would have them, Centro Turiano, the Cuban club, the Italian club. So they would dance away the weekends.
My grandmother's name was Margaret Quick. She had a beauty salon on the corner of 7th Avenue and Palm. And there was a drugstore right on the side of her beauty salon. And she was there for like 15 years. It was called Quick's Beauty Salon. And she also lived where ACC is at, like I said, and they bought her out. And when she moved to 2811 16th Street, she participated in a lot of things in the neighborhood, sold dinners. She was with the children. My grandmother also had, I found out later after she passed, she had a lot of rooming homes here. And I did not know that. A lot of people was like, that was your grandmother? You know, when I first moved to Tampa, the Ybor, you know, I had a room in her rooming house. And I wish she was alive during that time for me to, I didn't know anything about that. It's really interesting to find out that she had a lot of rooming houses here.
My grandparents worked at the Victor Garcia, which was sarcastically called El Paraíso, Paradise. This one over here, J.C. Newman, I forget who the original owner was, but this is always known as El Reloj because of the clock. So my whole childhood just encompassed this area. The Dream Center now, it used to be the boys club, not the girls club, just the boys club. And the pool there, I used to go swimming there. Not very well, but I did. My dad used to play baseball for Florida Dairy, so they used to have the baseball games there at Cascaden. I used to go there on the weekends to do little things.
The way I looked at it in those times, on that side of Cascaden Park were a little bit better off people. The same kind of people, but they're a little bit better off. And then on this side, it was really the poorest ones, especially over here on 17th Avenue. And they were very poor, very poor. And on that side, you know, I had family over there, but some of my uncles and that they were better off than I was. They lived over there, and a lot of Italians and owners of the factory people. Of course, they lived in Comasia, most of these, the owners of the big factories, but the better off, you can call it that, was over there on that side. And you can still see the homes are still there. You know, it wasn't torn down like it is here. But my house was there until not even 2 years ago. They finally tore it down.
Okay, and the house I used to live in at the present time used to belong to a famous gangster named Charlie Wall. I was told that he was a good gangster. He used to be playing the bolito. He used to be high on, you know, heavily involved in that. He was killed in one of the rooms of my house, which I have remodeled since then. Apparently, it was somebody he knew because they let him in. I really don't know how he was killed, but I'm not sure. They said it might have been his bodyguard or somebody. I understand that they had a lot of, not porch parties, but him sitting on the porch and a lot of drive-by shootings. And I have noticed a long time, my grandfather used to tell us that those were bullet holes in some of the steps and one in the window. So the house has many rooms. They said it was a hidden tunnel underneath, but we never found the hidden tunnel.
Charlie Wall never bothered nobody around here. His wife did more bother than anybody else because she had a big old Doberman, and she would walk him right down 17th here. And naturally, he'd go to everybody's bathroom, you know. And my mother used to get on her, boy. My mother used to get on that lady, and my father said, "You better watch out. So that lady's going to get a hold of you one day." But Charlie Wall was, he didn't bother anybody. I mean, he just, all his business was done on the, on the night spots, bars and stuff like that. The only thing I remember about Charlie Wall, when we went shopping to Ybor City, me, my sister, and my father, and my mother were shopping. We'd walk down, and on the way back, right when we got to, right on here on 17th and 12th, there was a car parked there. And then all of a sudden, there's another car comes down from Columbus down 12th. To 12, he turned right on 12th. And as soon as he turned, boy, bang, 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 they shot at him. And his bodyguard, what was his name? Rivera. Yeah. He took off, boy. He just stepped on that gas and took off, and they didn't hit him.
So anyways, another thing I remember was going to the Gasparilla Parade on Ybor City. I don't remember anything on the Bay Shore. All I know was basically on 7th Avenue at nighttime, and it was geared towards family. Everybody that went was basically had kids, lots of kids, lots of family. And we basically would lay out our aluminum chairs. To me, I don't know why I still have one of those aluminum chairs in my mother's garage. But anyways, and we would take sandwiches and we would take our drinks and it was just fun, And there was it was just a beautiful time, okay? And some of the activities would carry over to Cascadian Park. I remember maybe some costume, little parties for kids at the prior to the Gasparilla invasion. Everybody, like they do now, they had the Gasparilla spirit going on during that time.
Okay, at the park, they used to have a lot of events. One of the big things, if you go back and look in history, you'll see where they actually had a baseball team. And it was very celebrated around here. And a lot of famous baseball players did come out of this area. But one of the things that they used to do is have a big festival every May. The weather was very cool and refreshing, and all the neighbors would come out from all the surrounding neighborhoods and celebrate May Day. And May Day, I remember vividly, the pole that they would set up, it was like a pole that they would have on an old tire. It was really tall. They would string all these ribbons, and then all the kids would lace themselves in and out until you tied the ribbon around this pole. And it just was so much fun to do. It was something that everybody came out. They would set up, almost like a carnival was set up. They would have like little concession stands, games. And back then, the games are all made of wood, tossing a bottle, throwing against the bottle set things that they had. It was something that everybody would come out to as a big community.
This project would not be possible without the generous support of the Hillsborough County Mini Grant Program, Hillsborough County Commissioners, the J.C. Newman Cigar Company, and the countless residents and volunteers that contributed in both front of the camera and behind the scenes. Thank you to all those that made this project possible.